So, you feeling bored, huh? Well, I've got some good news for you. Say goodbye to boredom because today is the last day you will ever need to experience it. Do you want to know how to make that happen? First of all, let's get one thing clear. Contrary to the commonly accepted idea that boredom is an emotion, boredom is actually a feeling. Not everyone gets bored by the same things. It's your thoughts about some of those things that create that experience for yourself. Thoughts such as, there's nothing for me to do, nothing interests me, or simply, I'm bored. As this might be very familiar to you at this point, our physical bodies experience boredom as an uncomfortable agitation, and that is usually caused by an overworked mind, always searching for meaning and fulfillment. Now, we feel bored for various reasons, the most common one being a deep, unmet desire for something that is meaningful to us. This need is often seeded as a result of childhood experiences where you weren't able to safely explore your environment and express yourself fully, and later on nurtured in our cultural surroundings where your worth is often tied to your performance. When it comes to our upbringing, it's easy to understand why this desire was unmet. When we're children, we lack autonomy and control over our experiences. We learn to rely on our parents and caregivers to tell us when to play, what things we can play with, and with whom we can play them with. So if as a child you didn't find something that really stuck with you, something that you were passionate about, that you were encouraged to explore and learn to hone in on that craft, you're more likely to grow into an adult with not many interests and therefore not many hobbies either. And no, drinking, doom scrolling, and Netflix and chill are not hobbies. In fact, they're the complete opposite of hobbies. Not to say that they are not fun when done consciously, but most of these are just random distractions. Learn coping strategies to numb our restlessness through small, temporary, yet addictive hits of dopamine. And these behaviors, when done on autopilot, would lead to self-abandonment and self-neglect. As for satisfying our unmet needs for meaning in our social circles, unfortunately, society is not in our favor either. It's intolerant to boredom because it teaches us to associate it with a lack of productivity. And it does so because there's an economic benefit to it. Forcing you to work nonstop, especially in something that you derive no purpose or meaning from, is what drives your coping mechanisms to fuel entire industries. However, as with all broken systems, this mindset is what stifles creativity and hinders personal and collective growth. Boredom in itself is not bad, as much as it informs us that we're not fully expressing ourselves. I certainly remember spending most of my 20s glued to a couch, smoking weed while binge-watching reruns of my favorite shows. And to that past self, I have only one piece of advice. You can watch all the Netflix library content, stuff your face with the crappiest food you'll ever eat, and numb your feelings until you dissociate completely from your body. You can waste another weekend of your life wallowing in self-pity and wondering if nothing is ever going to change. But until you decide to do something for yourself, that pain will not go away. Distracting yourself from reality won't help you create a life of purpose. Being present will. Abusing drugs, sex, alcohol, or food to mask your emotional pain may bring you relief, but only the courage to feel your feelings will bring you the healing and resolve you want. Focusing on the deep grief over the time, youth, and potential you lost won't support you in healing the emptiness you feel from abandoning and neglecting yourself, but self-compassion and forgiveness will. Blaming others and expecting them to bring meaning and purpose into your experience won't help you reclaim your authentic self that was largely suppressed and sometimes repressed to meet your needs and satisfy your parents' needs and wants. But taking accountability for your experiences as an adult will. Reprimand and shame yourself for your childhood experiences won't nurture the sense of agency required to have healthy relationships with yourself and others. But attuning to your inner child and be the parent you didn't have will give you clarity to explore old and new interests. Drowning yourself in self-pity and self-loathing when you feel bored won't help you build your self-esteem, but use boredom as a platform to explore new routes of self-care, play, and self-expression will increase your creativity and self-reliance. Boredom will always appear to tell you that your lack of engagement in the current activity means you see little value in it for you. So instead of trying to escape the discomfort boring things bring you, I invite you to do the complete opposite. which is what I did, and it cured my boredom for good. There's a preparation phase for this, which is ongoing, and that entails making a list of meaningful things to you. I know it sounds simple and quite obvious, but there's a reason why you haven't done it yet, so let's get clear on what that list entails. Whenever you're in a good mood or you see something that interests you, something that you want to try, I want you to write it down on your list. My list is on my phone's reminders, and it's titled Feeling Bored. There are only a few requirements for that list. It can only have activities that you enjoy doing, activities that are not dependable on anyone being available for you to do them, activities that for one reason or another, depending on the meaning you attribute to them, might be challenging for you. For example, if you are a perfectionist and have been procrastinating doing that course or making that call to a friend, or even begin to read that amazing book you finally got your hands on, focus on the outcome of doing such task and how much self-reliance it can induce. And finally, the most important of all, make these activities very specific. By all means, start with some vague ideas such as read a book or call a friend or clean the house. But know this, if you want to overcome boredom, you will need to challenge yourself and be very intentional with your ideas. This is why there's a preparation phase to create this list. You need to be in a good mental state so that when boredom strikes, you don't succumb to your familiar and unhelpful patterns. Be clear about what you can do and give yourself options. Do you like to read books? Which book are you most excited to read? Never read a book in your life but are curious about reading one in particular? Maybe you can commit to reading one chapter of that book. Maybe you can call that childhood friend, clean that closet in your house or that email inbox, watch that documentary, make that kind of art, listen to that specific podcast, go for a walk in that neighborhood. Got inspired to make a mug after watching the ghost scene? Search for pottery classes near you and save the link in your list. The same goes for baking a recipe, cooking a meal, volunteer at a local place, or practicing some cool exercise routine you saw on Facebook. Save the link. Make it easier on yourself when boredom hits and nothing seems easy. Boredom is the gateway to creativity because you cannot be creative if you're distracting yourself with external stimulation. So use your imagination, your inspiration, and even your intuition when they strike to explore what actions might provide fulfillment to overcome it. So give this list a try and see what will happen on the other side of boredom. I think you'll be amazed at what you'll find. My name is Liz, and if you're new to this channel, I invite you to check out our Emotional Wellbeing series, where we offer power-up tools and perspective tuning so you can expand your consciousness and get better at feeling your best. I'll see you next week.